Alrighty, let's go. Let's go back out to the screen. You can see we're in the middle of, I don't know, there's 16 of these, right? Let's count. We're not there yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then an awesome one, 12. So we should have 4 more to go. These are all player items. This is a player, platinum player. Say that one time at any speed. It's a platinum player pack, and it's 16 items, obviously all players, which is it's a nice change of pace whenever you get a chance to do player packs. This house does FIFA as well, and FIFA, I know they're comparably tend to be more expensive over the long haul, but their player packs are just they're nutty to be able to. They have a bunch more stuff than hockey does in terms of non-player items, but still. Point being, like over there, at least for me, in the little while that I played the current version of this year's game, it was like I just if I could choose between having my rewards being technically like one step or one half step down, but a player pack as opposed to like a step up or a half step up, and have a mix pack. Um, I almost always would have preferred player packs, even though, as I said, they've got a ton of non-player stuff in that game, and at least for me specifically, I did actually like some of that stuff. Like, for instance, the coaches and trainers and stuff like that, they actually matter on your ultimate team. Whereas here, the head coach matters, and there isn't anything else. Um, and it really only matters in terms of like adding +3 to a team synergy in case you need it and weren't able to get there without it. And I've definitely used it in this game throughout the course of the whole year I've been playing. But I mean that's about it though, right? So like at least for me, as far as the coaches in this game, I don't see a need or a point of having anybody who's not gold. I guess unless there was like a synergy that isn't represented by a gold coach, and that's probably the case for some stranger ones that I can't think of off the top of my head. But the ones that I pay attention to and cared about, there's gold coaches, whether it's Fiddler or Rome, or the other guy that I can't think of off the top of my head, and then the Eastern European and maybe Russian sounding name as well. Those guys all have like they're all gold, and they all have the synergies that I have tended to look for throughout the course of the season. But at this point in the game, though, I mean, you get a card like this. Like, I mean, look at all the deuces just on one card. So for those people that are completely filling their team with nothing but supposedly end game cards, and when I get into the analysis of JT's card, I'll point out how maybe it's not completely end game, but we'll get there. And so even with 5 different types of synergies all getting a +2, maybe it's almost irrelevant what your head coach can offer, or maybe not. Who knows? Back to the point, right? So this is a PPP. So it's 16 items, all player. It's supposed to have 5 rare. And so as I was going through this, I didn't have the mic on. This very first one threw me off, and I guess it's the bold goldish yellow, I guess is the proper way to say that, as opposed to yellowish gold. And again, I'm colorblind, so I have no idea what I'm really talking about, but that's what it kind of appeared to me. And I don't know, I didn't really see like the silver right away, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe the 66 looked like it was flipped to 99 in my head or something like that. But I thought that this was like some sort of super beast card as soon as this popped up. But that thought lasted for about, I don't know, maybe a second and a half until I was able to like actually look at it and be like, oh, okay, no, it's a silver common. So then we go from the silver common to ripping three straight gold commons, which I'm recording this on Wednesday. What the hell's the date? The 20 something. What is it? 24th. Um, before on Wednesday the 24th, before today's uh, server reset. That's still a good. I don't know. I don't know what time it is. It's like 4 hours from now or something like that. So yes, it's on Wednesday, the the 24th, but not after Wednesday the 24th's um, uh, reset, which could have sort of anything that they would include today when they update. Whatever. Not the point. Point is, three gold commons, and on this day, what I've been seeing and was going to include in its own video is that there's something kind of fishy going on in the auction house marketplace in general, and there's a lot of really strange stuff going on with these gold commons, and I don't have even a really I don't have an idea what's going on. I've tried to come up with like some off the cuff kernels of some conspiracy theories, and a couple of them would maybe make sense if people had specific info about stuff that might come prior to this game ending, which is like now, because the beta is apparently in like 2-3 days from now. So anyways, point being, I had a silver common and three gold commons. I point that out because I don't know if you saw this at the very beginning of this video, but there's supposed to be five or more, which means it's going to be five or more rare cards in here as well. And it doesn't differentiate which type, so they can all be bronze rare, they can all be silver rare, depending on which one of those two you think is better or worse. So they don't. None of them have to be gold rare, but every single one of them could be gold rare. And the other, if there was exactly 5 gold rares and there were 10 more cards in there, the other 10 could all be gold commons. And even though for me, gold commons are interchangeable, they're just commodities for trading, which is part of one hypothesis that I have as to why the market for them is odd, let's just say. And so the fact that one of these is a 75, one is a 76, one is a 79, I don't care basically at all. There isn't, even with a 79 being the highest overall that you can have, there is not a gold common that exists in the game that would be able to be capable of being anywhere close to making my team. Like if you were able to like set your team, like kind of like FIFA, if you were able to set your team where it was like, all right, here's my starting squad as we do now, where it's like you got your 4 lines of forwards, you got your 3 lines of D, two goalies, and an optional head coach spot. The goalie really is the only one of those that technically counts. That's like not, it's like a starter and a backup. So the goalie is kind of like a reserve, but they can get into the game. Whereas comparing that to like FIFA, you set your starting 11, and then you've got your subs. I forget off the top of my head exactly what number that is, but for some reason I'm thinking like 9 would probably make sense. And then you've got, to the right of that, you've got on the screen, you've got an ability to set your reserves, and that's like probably an extra, like, it's at least 5, maybe like 7. I forget. It's been a minute since I played. But generally speaking, that's about it. And all I'm pointing out with that is that, like, when you're setting your squad, you get to do that whole thing. You get to say, here are my starters, here are my subs, which if you don't play that game or know anything about soccer, you can only sub in 3 players. So even though you've got a choice of whatever the hell the number of choices, like 7, maybe up to 8. I think it's less than that though. I think it's like 7 or less. Um, However many there are that you can choose from, you only get 3 during the course of the game, during the course of any game. And the reserve, the sorry, the yeah. So those are the subs, and the reserves don't get to get in the game at all. And in fact, when you're playing the game, you don't even see them. They're not listed anywhere on your info. Um, and so some people point out, especially when you're doing the like the um, what the hell do they call it? The thing it's not squad building challenges. It's squad building something, whatever the hell it is. The thing that they're bringing over and porting over to hockey for NHL 20 is where you basically get to face off against teams that have been built by other players in the community, or like influencers, or like in our case here in hockey, they'll supposedly come sometimes from actual NHL players and stuff like that. So when you go to play in those events specifically, a lot of people will notice that there's a chance that if they're a good enough player specifically, that their team that they play in those events could end up being turned into like a team that you would come up and get faced off against. And so they've realized that they can kind of make it seem as though the value or the difficulty level of playing their team, their squad, is lower than it really is, because they don't put any. They do one of 2 main things. They don't put any reserves in at all, because oddly enough, the way the engine works is that the reserves can actually have an impact on your overall squad rating, which is a bit strange, but whatever. It also doesn't really tip their hand in terms of what other cards they may have in their collection to be able to rip at somebody if somebody's trying to like kind of track that particular player's squad and competition, etc. So that's one half. The other half is on the subs. They can sometimes kind of do the same thing as well, especially because when you go to play against them, they're going to be passive. They're not really playing. You're basically playing the computer, a computer that is playing that person's squad settings versus you. So them knowing that, and knowing that the computer can only pull 3 players or whatever, they may choose to put like 3 really solid subs in, and then the rest they'd to equate it here to hockey, they'd basically be putting in like the bronze commons, like the 55 overalls, just like fill the rest of the sub spots with that, because again, in a sort of weird way, the engine would recognize those lower ratings. It would bring down the overall rating, and therefore when you go to play them, whatever level you play them at, if you're able to beat them, you'd get kind of less points and yada 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 for having beat them, even though their team might have been actually stacked. It would have been almost like end game equivalent of like 99s across the board, for the starting 11 plus 3 on the subs, or not. Some people don't do good subs at all, and other sort of weird stuff that people do. I don't know. Point is something, right? What was my point? I don't know. Let's get back to this. So this was what I was thinking as I got to this third one. I was literally thinking like, okay, like there's going to be some rares that are going to come, so they're probably going to be like silver rares. Is what I was going to be expecting at that point, and that would be mostly fine. And those really are just, each one of those is just 1/5 of another gold common for me. Basically, is all that represents. But I was after these first 4, my thought was, geez, I don't know if I'm gonna get even 1 gold rare, because it's not. There's no odds on these packs. It's not like it's guaranteed. But having ripped through 3 in a row, well, four in a row commons, and 3 of them being gold commons, I was honestly thinking like, that is fine. If you want to give me, basically 9 gold commons in the pack, I'd be happy to take that. It's one shy of what I would need to be able to do two gold rare rerolls and try to get lucky and end up with the super high rated card that you're never going to get. So moving on, get your first rare, and it's a silver rare, and it's whatever. For me, yeah, I want silver rares more than bronze rares because this isn't October of last year, early October, late September of last year, in which I wanted to have some bronze players, like at least on like the fourth line or the blue line, or backup goalie, just to be able to add synergy and not have too much of an impact on the actual play in the game. And they provide more. I think is what they did, right? Like, I don't know. These ones are 2. Yeah, bronze. This, like, honestly, this is how long it's been since I've even considered putting. I haven't even considered putting a gold common on my team. I mean, I don't even touch gold rares that are less than like 85, and my team is terrible. So yeah, I haven't paid that much attention to the silver rares or commons or bronze rares at all. But yeah, bronze you get 3 and silvers you get 2. So that was the advantage of why you'd want to be able to dump in a bronze in a spot where you were looking to not have them actually impact the game if you got lucky. Just because they could add those more synergies. But at this point, I'm not putting any of them on my team, so I don't care. These are simply just trade-ins. So generally speaking, silver rare over a bronze rare. So at this point, honestly, I'm not that upset with the pack after this first 5. And I'll click on the one to the right after this in 2 seconds. But seeing there was another silver rare after that again, wasn't too upset. But, then having pulled this, then I was starting to think, all right, we only get 5 of these rares. I really kind of hope I get at least one halfway decent gold rare. Again, like, even an 83 wouldn't cut it for me. I'm looking 85 plus, hoping for a special card, knowing that it never comes, it's very unlikely. So, we've got our, whatever number that's at right now. So that's that's the 6th one, and it's the 2nd rare. You get another silver rare, so now we're on to 7 total, 3 rares. Get another gold common, and again, I'm not upset with this at all. So now we're up to 8 and 3, I think. We get another gold common, so we're at 9 and 3. Another silver rare, so we're at 10 and 4, and then another silver rare. And my thought at that point was like, oh crap! So we got 5 silver rares out of this pack. We're not going to get a gold rare. So I really, at this point, like, you see that Ryan Reeves there, or even the Tommy Hickey. That was kind of what I was thinking at that point. It was like, all right, just give me like as many gold commons as I can get at this point now, since I'm not going to get a gold rare or any sort of good card. And then this comes. So I gotta say, like, yeah, I haven't. It's not as though I've gone ahead and bought a ton of packs over the course of the year, either using the quote unquote real money, like from the points that you could buy, or from using coins. But I have definitely had more packs than I feel like was optimal, from what I probably should have done if I could have kind of done the whole thing over again starting now. Kind of knowing what I know now, this having been the first year that I played the current gen consoles version of the game. So I feel like I've opened up enough packs. I haven't necessarily opened up every variation of the kind of high-end special packs, but I've opened up a fair amount of them, and didn't necessarily feel like I got a ton from them. I'm kind of along the same lines as even some of the game changers, who kind of indicate their thoughts are that packs, at least this year for 19, and I don't know, it'd be nice to see a change and a slight bump in average quality output from the packs for 20. But generally speaking, if they're like the current ones, the free agency packs that are out there, most of the time you're just looking at it from the perspective of like, okay, do I want to spend those coins and see if I can rip a collectible? If you're buying the big pack for 80k coins, you really gotta kind of hope you get lucky enough to get two collectibles in that, because they're selling for about 40k, so you basically like make your money back on that, and it's not like you can just kind of keep ripping through this and doing it over and over again, because you're never gonna. I should have saved this for a different video, but you're never getting more than 2 collectibles of any type, even on the 80k packs. And so knowing that that's your max, and that's what's the equivalent to the kind of resale value of those collectibles in that pack, you'd be doing it with like hoping to always get the maximum output, which is crazy to think that you're going to be able to do that over X number of pack pulls. Someone's here. Feel free to comment and say anything if you are logged into YouTube and are able to do so. Since you are in the room at the moment, I will do my best to get off this tangent that I was just doing, which was just that the 80k packs, the free agency packs that are out there now, similar to most of the other 80k packs that have gone on throughout the game, the real purpose of them is the collectibles, and the collectibles are selling for about 40k per. So hoping to get 2 every single time is a little bit not practical and shouldn't be expected. And so trying to think that you're just going to spend 80k per and then resell your collectibles for 40k a piece, and then being able to take that and fund your whatever else you're getting in those packs. Number one, it's not going to work because you're not always going to get 2 of the special collectibles. You'll occasionally get like a bronze or a silver and annoy the hell out of yourself and realize that you've wasted money, because most of the other cards that you're going to get in those packs are not going to make up that 40k difference for you. And again, you're never getting more than 2 per, so you're never getting more than 80k in value in just the collectibles, and yada yada yada. So it's not really worth it to do, generally speaking. But if you're bored and you got nothing better and your team's already stacked, then what the hell, go ahead and do it, and feel free to have fun. And you could maybe end up getting at least a couple of decent pulls from those packs that you would, if you were looking to sell, would justify having spent that. But I feel pretty confident in saying that I think you'd expect, with the super low values on basically almost every card in the game at this point, you are much more likely to be losing overall if you did nothing but constantly open up 80k packs and sell at a price that you were always going to get paid off on in the auction house with every single card that you get from those packs, like regardless of what they are. Alright, so I talked already about this whole pack here. I'll scroll over for the person who just joined. We started with a silver common and three gold commons, then 3 silver rares, then 2 more gold commons, 2 more silver rares, and then this card. I don't know what else is in the pack yet. I have not gotten that far. I opted to jump on the mic and talk about this once this popped up. So at a 96 overall, this is not only the best pull that I've had in any type of pack ever in this game, it also puts JT here as the, let's see, he's tied for second highest overall rating card that I have at the moment. I did boost up the Sakic like the day that was available when it first came out. Generally speaking, feeling still pretty decent about the choice to do that, and so that's a 99. So obviously he's my top overall. And then the Messier Legend is a 96. I never got the Subban monthly awards one where he's a 99 or whatever. Um, and that was just stupid for me. But I took some breaks during the course of the last, whatever it's been, 11, 10 and a half, 11 months, whatever. And so I missed that one, and I missed a couple of other monthly rewards. I missed, I think there was a Chelios that I missed, which is whatever, because I can now I'll eventually get the Chelios from opening the daily rewards ones. Somehow I haven't done whatever it is, 400, 500 of those yet. Um, and you can legend those up before September 10th as well. So I would potentially do that. What was I going to say? But yeah, so I think there was a Chelios 1 month. Don't have that. There was definitely a Ronick one month, and I do not have that either. And I probably missed a couple other ones, but I can't think of off the top of my head what they are. So the Messier Legend at 96 is my best. I'm currently funneling in my monthly collectibles into boosting him up, and I've talked about this in previous broadcasts. That I don't know. At least for me, I'm not feeling like super stoked about the difference between his 96 and his 99. I mean, his 99 is boss, but like the 96 is pretty boss already anyways. So I did have enough monthly collectibles to put him up to 99, and then still have more that I would have accrued after that to be able to do some other stuff, whether it was boosting Ferraro, who does not go to 99 because he only starts at an 88, so you boost him to like maybe a 94, I think, something in that range, less than 95. Might be 92. It's 92 or 94. I think it's like 94, and it's not the greatest, but it's better than his current card. And oddly enough, his current card does tend to make my team in weird spots, like not in key spots though. And that's more again just because my team is basically terrible and I don't have any of these good / special cards. So the 96 Messier would tie JT here as far as overall. And there's reasons why that card is preferable to this one, and then there's also reasons why this card is preferable to that one. And then after that, you're looking at like the Stan Mikita Legend is a 94. I pulled on a gold rare reroll an untradeable Robert Lano, who's also a 94. His his diamond, obviously not his silver common or silver. Is it silver regular? Silver common, I think. Doesn't matter. It's the diamond one. It's the 94. It's a pretty sweet card. And that kind of rounds out my top cards there. Like that's like my top 5 right there. I don't really have much else that even really kind of gets up to those levels. I don't. Yeah, it's like the team's terrible. So this is far and away my best ever pull. If you want to include gold rare reroll pulls, then obviously the Lano at 94 was pretty solid. Before that, I think that the highest that I ever got on a gold rare reroll would have been like an 88 overall, basically any of the alumni that can be turned into legends. So like Brett Hull. Conacher for sure, who's an 87 actually, and I'm sure there's a couple of like 88s in there that I just can't think of off the top of my head. So yeah, the Lano was by far the best of those, and then team, like obviously I've picked up, not obviously, but since I've been back playing, I've picked up the things that they've given, which includes an untradeable 90 overall Molson. So again, as far as at least overall rating, that kind of gets up there. I thought I had one other one that came from that time frame as well, but I can't think of what it would be. Because I know the other one's like an 85, so that's regardless of whether he's on the team or not, doesn't really qualify for high, low, whatever. Anyways, moving on. So before getting a potential chance to turn any of my other legends into 99s, which is going to be tough considering I don't have any of the collectibles to do so. For now, this is probably going to stay as one of my best cards, but let's get into the card. And I'm not going to spend like an hour on this, I promise, but let's get into the card and point out why. Super stoked to get this, but I could be a little picky here. I could potentially point out how there's some 85s, 86, 87s, mostly diamonds, that I'd kind of almost prefer based on their stats than this one. But right off the bat, you see the skate stat at 99, and it holds up on the underlying stats. The only one that's not 99 is endurance at 91, which is a bit of a concern for me, honestly, just because I definitely have found that that even though I don't see it in the notes from them anywhere, I don't see anybody that's talked about it literally anywhere. For me, I definitely have felt as though they made a tweak, let's say, because I don't know if it would have been part of an update or a tuner or anything like that. But I definitely feel like since I came back in the last, whatever it's been, maybe month or a little bit longer, that across the board, all of my players tend to get wiped a much quicker than they used to. And so then in some cases I'm forced to do certain things where key games, even against the computer, I'm like finding myself having to like take timeouts where I like never did before. And I also have to sometimes try to instigate fights if I can, assuming it's versus somebody who I can actually beat. Because if you win the fight, then you regain your energy on all of your lines. And I've had to resort to those kind of things because even with like a 91 overall endurance, and especially having such sweet stats across the board and being at top end speed, I mean this is the definition of endgame. It's 99 on all the other stats for speed / skating. So having that, he's going to be the kind of player where I'm going to be looking to have him controlling the puck quite a bit when he's out there on the ice. I just realized I forgot for some reason, and I don't know why, because I love the card so much and I play with it so frequently, and I may actually like it better than this card. I have a 95, and I don't know how to say his name properly, at least his first name, but last name probably is either Kyra, and he's another player who has like a I don't know, it might be as high as a gold common, but I think it's probably more like a silver common on his normal card. And this card that I have of him is his free agency card, and it's a 94. And I would have got it from one of the free agency packs that I opened up. And so, much like this card, I could sell it if I wanted to, but like I kind of don't want to because he's so badass for me. He's definitely like my favorite player at the moment on my team, and I especially against the computer where it doesn't matter, they're not looking for tendencies or whatever. I do probably more often than I should kind of like look for him on the ice to just try to get him on the puck to see what he can do. Obviously, I'm talking about on the offensive end, from just rip one from kind of like anywhere, because it's that solid of a card compared to the rest of my team. So anyway, moving on. Skate is perfect, and so I'll get into synergies, but you can't benefit from any of the synergies unless they increase endurance. So you could maybe get a +2 on endurance and get that up to 93, which I would actually like to have. But outside of that, it's already maxed. Again, definition and end game. Moving on to, in my opinion, the only other category that matters, shot. I saw the 92, when this popped up, I was like, oh my god, holy shit, 96. And what's going on? Is this one of those defenders that got a boost to shooting, or what's going on? Oh no, it's a forward. So it's a forward who can potentially play as a forward and do some stuff. I'm like, oh wait, it's a center. Now I gotta pay attention to face-offs. What's going on? Did all that in about 2 seconds, and then noticed the 99 skate. Obviously, got super stoked. Saw a bunch of nines, and then saw that the shot was the lowest of the 5 and a 92, and was like, ugh. So I opened this up as I was getting prepared to jump on the mic and talk about this. And I'm not like, I'm not like, it's gonna sound like I'm ungrateful, but because I'm a little disappointed again, because I could have like an 85 diamond that's got 99 slap shot and wrist shot power, that is just lower on accuracy. But when I say lower, it could be like as low as JT's accuracy, like around 90, and difference being all the rest of their stats, handles, checking, and defense, all that stuff is all crap on the diamonds. But I don't care, honestly. I'm just really looking for speed and shot power, with as much accuracy on the shots as I can get. So for JT, I'm not like super annoyed. It's 93 on slap and 92 for wrist, and then as I said, in the accuracy, we're looking at 90 and 91 respectively. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but it's fine. And the fact that nothing goes below 90, I do appreciate. It's weird like that. It's kind of like I wouldn't technically call it anal on my end, but it's something where it's like if the slap shot accuracy was 89 as opposed to 90, like it's not like I'd get heated, but I'd be a bit annoyed. I'd be like, come on, man, it's a 96 overall. It's supposed to be a boss card. These free agency cards, there aren't really a ton that are 97s or 98s. So it's like the two top ends are basically either 96s or 99s. And at least in my opinion, there really should. I know that there's like a million 99s that are out there now, but like these 99s overalls should be as close to 99 on almost every underlying stat as you can get. So yeah, getting a 96 that's technically the second highest free agency overall rating that you can get, as far as I know, as far as I can remember, because I've seen like none of these on my end, because again, this is like the first time I pulled one. Yeah, I'd be a little annoyed to have even one of the shot stats at anything under 90, and technically 89 counts as being under 90, and that's getting a bit picky, sure. But overall, point being, I would, so to get from 93 and 92, you're looking at adding 6 on slap and pardon me, excuse me. 6 on slap and 7 on wrist for their shot power to get up to 99 run this card. So if we take that 6 away from the slap shot accuracy, that would drop that down to 84. And if we take the 7 off of the wrist shot accuracy, it'd be the same, also down to pardon me. Wait, what? Hold on. 6, 84, and 7. Yeah, okay. I was like, I don't know why I just got weird there. But, yeah, so both of the accuracies would drop down to 84 if you, if they, allowed you to adjust things by, which would be cool, by the way, to be able to say, okay, I want to boost this rating here, and in order to do so, I have to take that away from these other ratings. Like that definitely has been a part of some sports sims in previous iterations, usually in older gen console versions of the games. So yeah, I would probably take that. I'd probably prefer the power to be maxed and take a bit off on the accuracy. I'd be willing to compromise with that. Basically just low 90s across the board here. 90, 91, 92, 93, literally. I'm okay with it. His shot's going to be fine. His other stats are solid. He unfortunately doesn't really have any synergies that boost him on that shot. But he would benefit from any of the team-based ones that are going to add a little bit of something to that. So that's good. And then I'm basically done with my analysis because I don't care about the other stuff at all. But it is, as I said, kind of nice. If you're going to have a 99 and 92, then from there, I would look for, you know, if it was basically a thing where like I got to just choose, it was like a choice pack, or they were going for the exact same amount on the auction market, which would be slightly weird. If I had the choice between a 99.92 like this versus a diamond 99.92, in which case like the diamond one has super low on the rest of the stats. I would maybe like look for one like this that's bringing up those other stats to higher levels in case they actually do matter, even though when I stopped playing a couple months ago they did not, and I haven't really seen a ton to suggest to me that they do have a significant impact. So I would look for those other stats to be solid and not super low. I would also look for size. Generally, I'm also, and it's weird, I like really big and really small. I don't want Goldilocks players. I don't want kind of mid-range as far as that goes. I want them to either be basically like the Lionel Messi's of the world version of hockey. Like, can't think of an example, but like plays like Patrick Kane as far as in and out, low to the ice, and making plays and just kind of scooting through people. But obviously I'm saying smaller or shorter than Patrick Kane is. So either that or big, like the Kyra card that I was talking about, and which I'm butchering his name, I'm sure. I'd have to look at the card to see exactly what his height and weight stats are, but he plays like a really big player. And so then there should be a thing where his what would it be? I guess probably his strength stat more than anything else. I would guess probably the strength stat would be the thing that would indicate that, like, despite being huge and therefore having more of him available for opposing players to try to get onto him to try to take him off the puck, if he's got the ability to kind of shed those blows, that's pretty solid and it's gonna benefit for sure. So those big players that can do that, I've definitely been more interested in those. So I don't know. I might be way off on that. Especially if they end up playing where like they're super like top heavy, and so then they're kind of like wobbling around at times because they just don't really have very much in terms of like their actual like, I guess you'd call it balance, right? So, I mean, balance on this one, they're saying he's got a 99 for JT. So if that underlying face stat is what that means in terms of their ability for them to balance and to have good skates control, then yeah, 99 balance is the highest you can go. He shouldn't be able to like kind of get knocked off, even if he was 6'6", 260, as opposed to 6'0", 193. So if I was looking at comparable ones, which I don't get a chance to do very often, I've looked at them, but I just don't have the coins. I got like 2,000 coins at the moment. I would probably lean towards taking a look at two who are like basically exactly the same. I look for the one that's bigger, and just kind of hope that it either has a slight impact, in which case it would matter even in the versus CPU games, which is like 95% of the games that I play. At least up until I finally get a chance to try to finish all of the hut challenges, which I've not done yet, as well as all the milestone ones that don't relate to online play, which I'm getting closer to, but I'm not done yet on those. Still have to do a few more of the last level on shots on goal and hits, and the other one. What's the other one? I don't know. I got the goals one. So was that Gartner? Finally got him last week. I'm pretty sure there's one other one that I'm not quite there yet on. Let's see. So shots on goal. It's not blocks, right? What is it? What is it? Shots on goal and hits for sure. Hits is McCarty. Shots on goals McInnes. What the hell's the other one? I don't know. I thought there was a third one that I wasn't quite there yet on, but I got most of the rest of them done. So I'd like to get those done. I'd like to try to see if I can just complete all the challenges, and then just between now and 9/10 September 10th, I'd look to see if they add any additional sort of quote unquote offline quote unquote versus CPU games through challenges as far as like events, where I think yesterday they added one where it was just win the game versus whatever team on superstar level or I don't know, it was at least above pro, and it was just win the game and you get 500 coins. Actually, yesterday I think might have been like I think it was actually get 4 hits, which was strange, but whatever. It's fine. It wasn't the hardest thing in the world to do, and we got the 500 coins and moved on. So point being, if they're gonna like drop those, I would still continue to probably log in, once a day at least, depending on whether I'm still looking to try to get monthly collectibles at that point or not. I expect I would still be doing that in August. I don't know if I'd do that in the first 10 days of September or not. But it'd all be dependent upon what they're going to continue to add to the game or not. But so, anyways, back to the point here with the card. In summation, I mean, obviously this is a great card. It's the best pull I've had. I'm not mad at it at all. His other stats, handles, checking, and defense are all solid. 93, 95, 95. Again, on a 96, you'd maybe want those to be slightly higher or just closer to 96. Even though I understand checking and defense are only one below, but you look at the underlying stats that go into that. Like defensive awareness, which is supposedly a thing, is 96. Shot blocking 91, stick checking 92, poise 83, discipline 93, fighting skill 83. So it's like, the underlying stats are not super high either. So, I mean, that's kind of just why I'm saying, like, as a 96, I'd maybe want those to be slightly better. But I realize that, to get the card to kind of even itself out, trying to find an equilibrium, he's gonna have to have some things that are gonna be lower because he's got end game maxed speed, and that's one of two things that I want the most. And again, as I said, his shots are fine. I'm not sure if I'd look to put him in a position where he's my number one go-to guy for shooting, generally. But his shots are fine, and he's in the group of luckily more than just him that I have with max speed. So I'm going to be using him up for speed, and I'm probably going to be using him in spots where he'd be looking to shoot a little bit. Unlike the players that going back even like 4 or 5 months ago, that I would drop onto defense as a forward because of their power and particularly the slap shot that they were doing, whether it was from D to D one timers or just having them having them have the puck on their stick out back towards the blue line. Being able to just kind of rip those. I was putting a bunch of forwards there on D, and even at this moment with my crappy team, my 6 players that are playing in the defense positions are not all defenders. They are not. Some are, some aren't. It might be about half and half, but I think it's probably, I'd say 4 out of the 6 are forwards. So I wouldn't put him in that category just because his wrist shots are solid. 92 wrist shot power, 91 wrist shot accuracy. I am going to want him to be getting into the mix and not just out there looking for keeps on the blue line and then trying to rip some shots. I will be looking for him to do that, but more on I wouldn't say on the rush, but I would say not whatever. I'll be looking for him to do both. Basically, is my point. And then again, all the rest of the stats basically being fine. So the last 2 things that I would say on this, he's a center, and like every center in the game, despite the fact that he's a 96 overall and therefore can only go 3 higher, his face-off stat is an 83. It is so fucking ridiculous. Now, he does add +2 to face-off master, which I do appreciate, as that has been a synergy that I've looked for throughout the year. But at this point, certain things like a couple of other synergies, I'm way over the minimum on, and yet I don't really have a ton of players like JT here as an example. I'd be putting him into the team anyways. I wouldn't be putting him into the team because I'd be looking for those 2 points on face-off master, and yet they'd get added anyways. So like when you go to look at my team, instead of seeing the 4 points that you need for that, you'd see like 10, 11, 12, something absurd. And again, there wouldn't be any players that are adding to that synergy that I would look at and say like, okay, I need to sub out this player because I don't need them for the synergy anymore, which is true. I don't need them for the synergy, but I wouldn't really be looking to want to sub out those players because they're in the lineup for reasons other than that synergy. But either way, face-off master adds +2 to the face-off stat, so he'd be an 85. I don't really want him taking any face-offs. I need 90 plus for sure. And I've got players that already do that. My 4th line center is the 94 overall legend Stan Mikita, and I really don't like taking face-offs with him for a couple of reasons, and part of that is because he's right-handed, as is JT here, and I've become very accustomed to taking face-offs with lefties, and it screws me up a bit, especially on the offensive third. To be taking face-offs with Mikita, so I've actually been kind of hoping to get a better replacement as my 4th line center that doesn't require me taking off from the overall competitive nature of my team and the squad that I put out there. Unfortunately, though, JT is not going to get that done for us with an 83. And even if there were other that I can't think of off the top of my head, team synergies that might add to that, like what would be best case scenario there? He gets +2 from face-off master, and he gets +2 from a team-based synergy that he wouldn't even necessarily have to have on as one of his synergies. So then he's in at 87. Yeah, 87 is kind of close enough where I might look him up on the 4th line. But no, I don't want to do that, number 1. And number 2, he's so good for speed and shot and has the other things there as backups in case they actually do matter, that I'm going to be looking for him higher up than the 4th line. This is not a 4th line player for me because my team is terrible. but he could certainly be a fourth line forward or a blue line defender for other players. Um, so that was, as I said, I had two just last things to say. The face-off one was one of them. The other one, just real quick, as I was getting into, is those synergies. I already went over face-off master. The rest are all +2s as well. Down the line, it goes bruiser, defensive warrior, heavy hitter, unless they've changed that to be something else, and clutch player. So bruiser being a team-based synergy and being one that I know at times of late has been one of those ones that's been like 14 out of the 10 that have been necessary. I wouldn't necessarily need him in there to get that, but I'm glad that I have at least one of those team-based synergies from a card like this that I expect is going to be on my team kind of like all the time. At the moment, I don't suspect to have an influx of super boss cards that would force me to take JT out, where he couldn't at least find a spot again, like fourth line forward or blue line D for synergies, as well as knowing that he's good overall and can is not going to cost me anything if I have an important part of the game in which the back end guys are finding time on the ice. So I like the fact that the bruiser is there because it is a synergy that I do like and have employed. Defensive warrior is like the complete opposite. I've over the course of the year I've made a point of at least the synergies that the game started with, which would not include the bottom two here of heavy hitter, assuming that's what that is. Like I said, because I don't know for sure. Or clutch player, those were not part of the original synergies. Those two, the top three were bruiser, defensive warrior, and face-off master. So all the synergies that the game started with, I've tested out all of those at times. Unfortunately, there have been updates and tuners that adjusted things at times. So, for example, heavy hitter, which came out in October with Halloween. At one point, I had a super bruiser team that had bruiser on and heavy hitter and whatever the hell the other one is. I can't think off the top of my head because I don't care. Because it doesn't matter anymore. That was before they tuned off. Basically the effectiveness of hitting essentially with your players. And I had the 90 overall MSP Halloween Bufflin, and as well as some other ones that were like that as well. And it was pretty boss. I mean, the team was not necessarily as fast as they probably should have been to try to be just kind of bruisers up and down the line. But yeah, I definitely had heavy hitter activated on that one, and that meant that the other couple synergies that came with the game, which is bruiser and whatever the hell the other one is, those were activated on that team as well. And back then it did matter. You could see a bit of a difference. Now I don't think it's as much, so I don't necessarily look for it. And so, point being, I was talking about defensive warrior. There are certain cards like I believe the base alumni Charlie Conacher, as an example, gave at least a +1 for defensive warrior. And there were a couple of other players that would do that as well, who weren't necessarily defensive players. I know there were versions of Taves cards that had that on there. And so it became like kind of this weird thing where you could get it activated, but it wasn't necessarily defensive players that were activating it for you. But it was like whatever. It was just a synergy that I wasn't really going out of my way to get done. Already talked at great length about Face-Off Master and how it's been important to me, and I've needed that kind of the whole year. I'm not really great as far as my skills on Face-Off, so I look for those who can give me an advantage based off of their underlying stats and the synergies. And at this point, playing against other players that have that doesn't make a difference because they're always going to be better than me. And in fact, playing basically anything above the level of pro means that at least like whoever the first line center that's taking the face off for the computer is going to beat me on face off no matter what I do. So that is what that is. I'll assume HH is still heavy hitter, and so that's one that, if it only needs like four to activate, it wouldn't be that difficult for me to get that activated. I just don't know how much that really matters. And clutch player has also been something that has kind of wavered back and forth between apparently making a difference and not, but I believe that's actually already activated for me, and if it's not, it certainly would be with adding JT to the team. And I forget specifically what the clutch player adds to, but I know it's at least one of the shot stats, so that's, again, pretty nice considering I'd like to have a little bit of a boost on any of the four shot stats that he's got here. And what else would it add to? I'm trying to think of off the top of my head. I don't know. I mean, if like it adds to awareness, and if that matters, then like great, whatever. I don't know. The synergies are fine. I'm not mad at them. There's certain ones that I probably would maybe look for more than others. Like the fact that he doesn't have burner, for example, even though it doesn't matter for his card because he's already at max speed. Being able to have a +2 off of one card that's always going to be on my team means that I'd have to worry that much less about filling out the rest of the squad with players that can come up with those other 8 required points to have burner activated for the entire team. Again, which wouldn't impact JT at all or anybody else that's 99s across the board. But for example, I've got 285 diamonds, Kaliev and shit. I only play with them every fucking day. How do I not remember what their name is? My photographic memory that I feel like I used to have is showing me the card and just like blurring out the name for some reason. Take a sip of water and see if that helps my memory come back here. Yes, it did. Peyton Krebs. So Krebs and Kaliev. It might be the case for both of them, but either both of them or one, or at least one of them, they basically have like a 99 skate, but their speed is only like 95. So it's a bit deceptive if you don't notice it. And for me, they're both untradeable cards that I got. So like it's not like I'm not putting them in trade trade in rerolls at this point. So they're out there, and they've played for me very well since getting them. I've had no complaints really. But like a card like that, for example, definitely could benefit from getting that speed up from 95 to 97, even without having that specific synergy on their card, because again, it's a team-based synergy, and so for that reason, like burner or even for the boys, that'd be pretty much like optimal for me. For a card that's got +2 and is someone who's going to find his way into my team somewhere, kind of always, again, unless things drastically change between now and whenever this ends for me. And that would effectively be Bruiser for the boys and Burner. Those three I greatly enjoy, and I feel like they do quite a bit, and they're, again, team-based, and so even if they don't impact JT here, as the Burner would not, they do make a difference. And I would just, as I end this, I would contrast Speedster, the S. So if there was +2 for Speedster for JT, if I had a choice between that and Burner, and if you'd have the choice between that and Burner, you should almost always go with Burner, unless you just have, say, at least 3 other players that also have Speedster, that you need another player to get activated. And I say 3 knowing that, again, JT would be +2 and that actually give you 5 when you only need 4. I'm saying that because the difference is burner is a team base, so it impacts everybody on the team, whereas speedster, you have to have that synergy in order for it to impact that player's performance and their card if they have that synergy on their card. And so I would say, like, if you only have 2 players that have speedster synergy, and you want to get it activated, and you look for a player like JT to have a +2 to add on to that, I see that as almost wasteful. And as I said, across the board, I would almost always look for burner as opposed to speedster. Even if, I guess, like, burner was already activated anyways, and therefore JT wouldn't be adding anything to it, whereas he could from speedster. I guess that's like the only time where I could see that being useful. But the point would be, then you're only adding value to the other 2 cards. Those are the only 2 that are going to be impacted by JT having +2 to speedster and getting that synergy activated. And sure, if you need to do kind of those little things to get your entire team as close as you can to maxed out, at least on speed and shot, and then, I don't know, I guess if you give a shit about the other stats, then I get it, makes sense. I could get behind it. I don't think that it's 100% GTO, but there's plenty in this game that's not 100% GTO as well. So I could get behind that when it's super specific like that. But again, if you don't have burner activated and you're looking to, like, activate speedster instead, it's a poor choice. It's not the way to go. But overall, I like the synergies. I like a lot of the stats here. I think across the board it's a pretty solid card. Skating is perfect. Can't complain. It's absolutely perfect. As I said, the endurance one's the only one that I'm like, yeah, I hope he doesn't run out of gas super quick and super easy. And shots, again, would have preferred at least slightly higher on something like the power. But I'm not complaining. They're fine, and everything else is great. Even though I don't think it matters much, synergies are pretty solid. Although, again, some of them I don't think impact. Again, I think they impact face stats that I don't think matter all that much. Either way, great card, right? So, as we finish up, I'm going to show what the other 2 cards are. To reiterate, we have 1 silver common. That's it, only just the 1. We ripped 3 in a row gold commons and then pulled up another 2. So we've got 5 gold commons, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 silver rares. So technically we should be done with all of the silver rares, and clearly this oh no. Well, you get 1 more potential excitement animations. silver common. That's why you pay attention how many times you press a button, I guess. But the JT counts as a gold rare, so we shouldn't really expect any other rares at all, or any other gold rares. So yeah, this silver common is completely expected, especially because there's only like 4 bronze commons in the entire game. So I'm definitely feeling like if I can get a gold common out of this last card, that would be sort of the ultimate for this pack. And all that really matters is the JT getting added to the squad, and the rest of the cards being tossed into trade-ins, unless the market continues to be super weird and giving more value than they should for these tradables. In which case, maybe I'll try to sell some and have more than 2,000 coins. Last card, I believe, right? Let's just do a quick count if we can without clicking over too quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Nope, so it's 15. So there's 2 more to go. Let's rip 2 more, see if we get anything good. No, it's a cool looking background that if it was like, for me, I think if it was like a little bit more glossy as opposed to matte, or whatever that would be described as, like, it would definitely have confused me a bit. It made me initially think that I got a super boss card. So final card, it's like no point in saying no whammies. There aren't really whammies. It doesn't, like, you give me a bronze rare, it's fine, but make it good. Make it a gold common. It's good enough. Am I incapable of counting? What is going on here? But thank you for the gold common, but I thought there's 15 cards, right? That's 5. That's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Alright, I guess there's 16 of them. Last card, here we go. Another gold common, perfect. Alright, so I'm definitely happy with this, and I'm happy with it obviously because the JT was in there. But as far as like, trade-in, lots of gold commons, so it's pretty solid. And I don't mind the silver rares all that much either. So pretty solid as far as I'm concerned. I like it. Just toss this back up there, just to ensure that this becomes the thumbnail without me having to do it myself. I think it's a pretty good card. Nobody ever watches these things. Nobody views them. Nobody comments on YouTube, meaning like on the replay that will be up there forever. Feel free to leave a comment if you've got any thoughts on this as to what I'm maybe not seeing here. Maybe if you think that even with me having a terrible team that has no good cards, that I'm better off selling this card. Maybe you feel like I'm better off selling the Kyra card as well, even though I think I saw that going for as low as 60k and as high as 80k, and I'd rather have the card than 60k coins for Kyra. And I'd probably say the same thing for JT, but you can convince me otherwise. I think that he's beefy enough at 6'0", 193. Could do a little bit more with the weight for sure, and maybe a little bit with the height, but it's fine. Being a right-handed shot is whatever. At the moment, I'd be putting those players over there on the right side, and because again, he's a center, but he's not taking face-offs for me. But I do like the fact that I would know that he's going to have an 85 or an 87 face-off stat if I find myself in a situation where I opt to put him on special teams, and then I find myself in a situation where like suddenly like half my team is riding the pine over there in the penalty box, and hopefully the underlying whatever the hell it is code for the computer decides that they're going to put him in to take the face-offs because all the actual centers are unavailable. I wouldn't be that annoyed with that as opposed to somebody else who's got like a base stat of like 73 as opposed to 83. But that's it. We're going to add him to the team. As I said, I'm probably looking to add him to the right side. I don't think at the moment that I feel the need to be doing such on defense for him. So I don't know. I guess he could end up being. He could. I might actually, in the first few games that I'm going to play right now, I might actually even put him on the front line, right wing, and then I think I'd have to move Kyra over to the front line, left wing. And those two with the 99 free agent Sakic as the center, in my opinion, pretty solid front line. So yeah, I think I'm going to try that, see how that goes. And then from there I'll know a little bit about how well he actually does or does not play, and might move him down on the right side from the front line moving forward. And then obviously for games where I'm looking for inversion, which I'm not going to spend an hour explaining, but that would be where I'd be looking to have right-handed shots on the left side and left-handed shots on the right side, regardless of whether forward or defense. There are times where I am looking for that inversion, and so if I do that, clearly he'd be looking over there on the left side, and there'd be room for him to do that as well. But generally speaking, I would typically have the same players on my current squad where I'm not inverted, that I would have on the inverted team. So it'd simply just be a matter of taking whoever's over on the left side, moving them to the right, and moving JT from the right over to the left, and that's it. So we're gonna end with that. I don't know if that was enjoyable or not, because I was opening the pack when this was not a live broadcast. So it's already been opened when it wasn't live, but like hopefully you can see here. I'll go. I mean, it says new items. it should be pretty clear that I'm not like faking this. I did open up all of these 1, 2, 3, the other 4 that came after JT. So this should be pretty obvious that I'm not like faking this at all. But like whatever, I'll go ahead and send these all to my collection, just so that it'll pop out to the thing that says I have no unopened packs, and you can see that this was truly live or whatever. And like, yeah, that would really suck to accidentally quick sell all those for $56.50. See, no unopened packs. So I wasn't lying. I was live. So anyways, hope that that was somewhat enjoyable. If not, peace out anyways.